this is Trinesha Cottrell, and today I wanted to talk about get rid of it. I don't know if it's going to be called get rid of it. I don't know if it's going to be called, okay, it's time to just let those things go, and I think I have a video called Let It Go, and there's going to be a bunch of videos probably with the same title eventually, because a lot of the things are similar, and although the message might be different, it might have the same title. It might be along the lines of something that's similar or something that maybe I said something at one time that was helpful in one area, and maybe instead of you getting rid of, something that you have in your life, maybe you get rid of an emotion, or something like that. So it'll be like similar but different. And so, sorry, the lighting is gonna kind of mess up a little because of the time of day and everything else. And so usually at this time of day, it's the sun is brightening and going down and coming up, and all the other things are happening. And so in here, while I have the lighting in this room, sometimes because I'm near a window, it'll be like the light just, kind of goes in and out. And since it's during the day, usually I'm shooting these videos at night, so I forget that the lighting does this during the day. But on Sundays, I'm always shooting like in the middle of the day or morning or something like that. So that's why the light's always like a little weird. So what made me want to call this Get Rid of It is because today at church, the pastor was preaching about, he was preaching in John. It was on John. Let me pull it up because, I like to be precise in these messages now. John chapter 20, verse 1 through 10. And it talks about, Jesus being on the cross. So it starts with Mary Magdalene, and it starts with, the disciple coming to the tomb, and the stone is rolled away. They look inside and they see the grave clothes. And so the pastor's message today was called Grave Clothes. And he said that the thing that made the person a believer when they said, "Oh, now I believe," is that when you are wrapped in grave clothes, what would happen is they would take pieces of cloth and wrap you in it from your neck down to your feet. And they would take hundreds of spices and I think a oil or something and put it on you. And the spices and oil will turn into like this hardened thing. So it's like a hardened shell around your body. So that was what they considered grave clothes. And so when he looked in, he saw that the body wasn't there, but the grave clothes were still intact, because the only way to remove them would be to cut them, would be to tear off pieces, whatever else, but it was still a full, it was still full. The whole like outline was still there, but the person was gone. Jesus was gone. And so the pastor preached on getting rid of those things that, well, he said releasing those things that, you know, stop us from being true like Christians or walking in our faith or whatever else. And he said usually the top things are doubt and forgiveness. Usually we have doubt, so we're not ready to just release the doubt that we have in our mind about whatever it is that's happening in our life, when we could do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And also, faith is the hope of things that are unseen. So sometimes we feel like because we don't see an example of it, that means it can't happen, but you might be the example, you know? And so, and also forgiveness. A lot of times we like to think that forgiveness is for someone else, but forgiveness is for us. Forgiveness is so that we can release all of the things that have been holding us back, so that we can be a better person in our lives, so that we can be beneficial to someone else. And so this video is not going to be too long because I do have to go and I say that every video, but today, if you don't know, is Resurrection Sunday. It is, the day that we celebrate as the day that Christ has risen from the grave. And that's why I'm wearing like something a little bit different. Usually I would just do like a shirt, with my own little style and stuff. But so here's a little quick side note that's funny. So I got this necklace yesterday. This is the one with the Serenity Prayer that I was talking about in the last video. And, it says, give me the strength to see if I could read it. Then I won't have to keep looking it up. Basically, be content with the things that you can't change, and to See, I'm gonna need to put it somewhere so I have it at all times because this can't be happening in these videos for real. Let's see. And I'm only doing this because I feel like there's gonna be some people that don't know it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And so that's what it says on my necklace, which is in really tiny print and it's upside down, so I could not see it. But the reason why I got this necklace, and it's kind of made like a rosary, but I am Christian, yes. But I got it because I have trouble releasing control in some areas of my life. And I want to always remind myself when I'm wearing this necklace that God is in control, that I'm a mere human. I'm a vessel that can be used, that I want to be used in any way that God needs me to be used for glory, to give glory and all honor and glory to the kingdom. I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is with intentionality. And whenever there's a time in my life where God is telling me to release something or let something go, get rid of something, when he's telling me that, hey, I got this, like, just you be the best version of you, and I will be right there with you every step of the way. Like, every time I wear this necklace, I'm reminded, just stop trying to do the most. Stop trying to be with someone that you're not supposed to be with. Stop trying to make something a thing that's not a thing. Stop trying to, you know, be the hero for somebody else. Like, they have to want the help. They have to, only God can change somebody. And, you can influence someone. You can, be around them. You could be helpful. If God is saying, hey, I need you to be at this place to help this person, you could be obedient and help them. But when you are doing things for someone who has to kind of do those things on themselves, someone who doesn't want to be better, then you are enabling them. And it's kind of like, I'm a caring person, and I try to just be obedient to what it is that God wants me to do. I try not to just go do things because I feel like it. Like, sometimes we think we're helping somebody because we're giving them extra money, and the money that they're using it for, the things they're using the money for, is not benefiting their life. They might be in a bind or something, and it's like, oh, I just don't have any money. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And if God doesn't say, hey, help this person, then I don't have the money. And I know that sounds harsh, but I don't have the money to give to someone who's not stewarding their money in the right way. If God was like, okay, help this person because they just didn't know how to manage their money at this time. They're learning. This is just, the what happened on the back end of the decisions they made in the past, then of course I will help somebody. But my biggest thing that I don't want to do in life is enable somebody else to make the same bad decisions over and over again because they have me as an scapegoat. You know, like, if I'm helping somebody, I'm helping somebody because they truly want to be better. I'm helping somebody because God's telling me this is where I need to be. I'm not just, going to go enable someone to keep making the same bad decisions over and over again, or holding it over my head like, oh, because you didn't help me, this is why. I'm helping because God says I'm supposed to be helping that person. I'm not helping just so I can make myself feel good about a situation or have some kind of hero sense, symptom or whatever. Like, I want to make sure that everything I'm doing is with intentionality. If God is saying, I need you to help this homeless person. It's not my job to worry about if the homeless person is using the money for something else. It's my job to be obedient and do what God tells me to do, because that person might see it as a testimony, it might help them in some sort of way. God sees everything that I'm doing, so he knows that I'm doing it with the purest of intentions, things like that. If it's a person that I know and they always don't have any money, like, they work a job, they just splurge, they spend all their money on something else, they have the money, but they just spend it on things, frivolous things that they really don't need, I'm not helping that person unless God tells me to. Like, I understand people have stories, and it's always something going on with everyone's life. And I don't say it to be harsh or rude or anything like that or disrespectful. I'm saying it because we have to be better stewards of our finances. We have to be better stewards of our life. And it's not just that person, it's everybody. It's me too. I need to be a good steward of my finances. I can't just be out balling out of control, just splurging, like, just throwing a whole bunch of money. Like, I need to make sure that if God is giving me $100, and the $100 could be used for a bill, I'm using it for a bill. If God is saying, hey, give this to the church, I'm giving it to the church. If God is saying, help this person, I'm helping the person, regardless. I'm not just doing it just because it's going to make me feel good because I'm helping somebody else. Like, I love doing things for other people, but I want to make sure I'm doing it intentionally. I'm not just doing it just to do it. And the same thing with people in your life. Sometimes you want so badly for that person to change, become somebody better, do something different, stop doing whatever it is that they're doing, but they have to be willing to do that for themselves. You could be there for them, you could speak life into them, but it's their choice. They have to make that decision. And honestly, I feel like it's a lot of responsibility for someone to put on themselves someone else's life on their shoulders. It's God's job to help save them. Your job is just to be there for somebody. It's not to save them, you know, and and only God can save people. You carrying around that burden, that responsibility is not healthy. Because if something happens, God forbid, to that person, or they go back and make a horrible decision, you'll feel like you failed, but it's their life and their choice. You did the best that you could. You really have to know, like, hey, I have to make sure I'm good so I can pour into other people. I can't live somebody's life for them, no matter how badly I want to. People are going to make their own choices and their own decisions in life. The best thing you could do is be there for the people, just be there encouraging them, speak life into them, things like that. But don't ever feel like you have to live someone's life for them in a way that you stop your own life just for somebody else. Because God could have things He's put on the inside of you in your purpose for you to help other people. And you won't be able to do it if you're helping somebody who doesn't want the help, you know? And so I don't know where that came from, but I guess it was important that somebody needed it. But I want to make sure that everything I'm doing in my life is for a purpose. And when I think about getting rid of things in the past, like, because the pastor said it, like, some of us are still wearing the grave clothes. We still have that doubt. We still have unforgiveness. We still have things that we're holding on to. You have somebody that let you down. You have someone who wasn't there when you needed them, whatever else. But he's like, God is always there for you. And it's so true. And you cannot move on in your life or allow God to use you in the way that He intends to, or be all of the things that God created you to be, if you're holding on to all of that toxicity, all of that negativity, all of those things that are stopping you from being everything you were created to be. If I was just walking around just unforgiving, just like with a bad attitude, just behaving like a nasty individual, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to like call people names, but if I was acting in that type of character and poor character, that would not be me being like Christ at all. That wouldn't be me being the best version of myself. That would be me being the worst version of myself. And I wouldn't be reaching my true potential of what God created me to be if I'm trying to be somebody else. If I'm someone else but what God intended me to be. And in order for me to do that, I have to release the insecurities. I have to release toxicity. I have to release doubt. I have to release, unforgiveness. And when you release those things, it opens up an area in your heart and your soul for all of the great things that God has for you, all of the peace, all of the hope, all of the forgiveness, all of the security, all of the happiness, everything good that you keep wondering why it seems like you just can't find peace, why it seems like everybody else is getting something but you. What are you still holding on to? Because sometimes I'll think I'm healed or I let go of some things from the past, and then God will show me an area in my life where I'm still weak, and He'll help me break that thing off of me. But in order for Him to work on you, you have to be honest with yourself and honest with God. Don't just say, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, and then keep it moving. God can't help you unless you let Him help you. I have to really be real, look myself in the mirror and be like, look, I'm still struggling with blah. God, you want me to be in a relationship, but sometimes I still struggle with even allowing somebody an avenue to get to know me. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with someone and I'll see that they like might be interested or something, and I'll just be like, And I'll say either something random that, or something that I know they don't like, or I will like kind of exit stage left. I'll kind of do like stuff to try to pull myself away. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. And people will most people aren't like so into me like it's at the beginning, so they're kind of just like they let it go, or whatever else. And so I just kind of like get to escape and avoid it. But God's really showing me, hey, you're never going to be with anybody if you keep doing this. Like, do you want this or not? And I'm like, yes, yes, God, I do want this. I do want to be in a place where I will allow somebody to get to know me, where I won't pull away, where I won't put up this wall, where I won't say something crazy, just to try to push the person away. I'll actually be intentional. I actually say what it is that I'll say what I mean and mean what I say. I'll let my yes be yes and my no be no. Because I'm not just saying I need to just be at somebody's beck and call and just agreeing with everything they say. That's not realistic. But I also don't have to always be at war with somebody else. I can listen to what it is that they're saying and still have a difference of opinions. I don't have to be voicing my opinion on every single thing someone says. And also, if someone's asking me a question, I don't have to say, oh, it's fine, or, whatever. I could be real about it. And God's like, listen, you're making it real difficult for no reason. And I'm like, I'm really trying, God. I really am. And he's like, are you really trying? And I had to be real with myself and be like, no, I'm trying ish, but I'm not trying. And it's not that I'm not trying because I don't believe that God says he is who he is, or that I don't believe in God's promises. It's just because it's something on the inside of me that still needs to be broken off to allow me to be able to be, I want to say, a little vulnerable, but I think vulnerable is a real strong word for somebody I barely know. But, to be in a position where I can at least converse with someone in a healthy way to allow them to know something about me. And it's funny because I have a friend who talks about like different stuff, and we'll talk about like different things, and I'll say something, and like this person, I'm like, oh, okay, I feel comfortable enough to say this, but I only feel comfortable enough to say that because it's not going to be a thing. Like I'm just, we're cool. It's not like I feel like because I know it's not a possibility, it helps me be more like, okay, it doesn't matter. So I can just be myself. And I can just, if I'm saying something like how I truly feel, it really doesn't matter if they like it or don't. It's kind of just, it is what it is. And so I always find myself in these situations, and God knows what I'm doing and he's hip to it. So it's not like I could continuously do this, but what I'll do is it'll be someone who either I'm completely not interested in, or someone who isn't in the same place that I'm in. And because I'm not interested, and because it's not going to become a thing, it makes me feel more like, and I'm like, see, God, I am being, I am having a conversation, and I am doing this. And God's like, you know what you're doing. You're only doing this because it's no possibility that you're going to be with this person. So do you really want this? Are you really about that life? Like, are you really intentionally getting to know people, or are you just trying to live in the in between so you can kind of like, I'm kind of doing it, I'm ish, but I'm not really in, like. And he's like, if you really want to do stuff in your life, if you really want this kingdom relationship, you are going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to let go of things, like don't just keep people around just because, you're cool with them. And there's nothing wrong with being cool with somebody. But sometimes being cool with someone else can block your blessings. Like if I'm conversing with someone that I'm not even going to be with, like we're friends, or whatever else, if I'm conversing with someone like that, when I meet somebody, I'm not going to feel the need to converse with them or divulge any information, or have a real conversation with them, because I'm already divulging that information somewhere else. I'm not allowing that person to really truly get to know that part of me. And so it's going to, in the long run, hinder the relationship, because they're going to say, oh, yeah, she just never has anything really that she has to say, or it's never this or never that. And it's never this or that because I don't, I, I'm not discussing anything with you. You don't really know how I truly feel about anything. So, it's just one of those things that God's been getting on me about. And he's like, listen, you're going to have to be intentional in all areas, and you're going to have to release control. Like, I know it makes you feel like you're in control because it's like, the outcome already. So it's not like you have to be like, oh, maybe it will or won't work out. It's kind of just like, it is what it is. And so God's like, no, like, if you're really going to be about this, if you're really going to trust me, if I'm saying that I'm here with you, I will be with you every step of the way, then you're going to have to let somebody get to know you. And I'm like, you're right, God. You are so right. And I know it's the truth. I know what I'm doing. I know, like, I'm kind of avoiding it, but I want to do what God wants me to do, and I want to be ready. I want to be in a position where I feel like I could be a little vulnerable, or where I could divulge certain information about myself, like, oh yeah, I like doing this, or I like doing that, or whatever else. And most people don't even get that much information because I just completely shut down before it's even an opportunity. But I'm really working on not shutting down or not pushing people away. I'm really trying. I'm really, really trying. I really am. It's just really hard, you know. It's really hard. And I know some people are like, well, it's not hard for me. I know, and God bless you. I think that's so great that you are in a position where you can do things like that. I really want to be in a place where I could be like that. And I know in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to release control. I'm going to really have to just let God handle it. Like, if I'm asking for discernment about a person, I'm just going to have to listen to what God's telling me. I'm going to have to use my intuition. I'm going to have to discern the person and the spirit. I'm going to have to really check with God to make sure it's okay. I'm going to have to do things like that. I'm not just going to be like, well, if I do this, then I can just make sure that this turns out like this and I don't have to do this. And God's like, listen, do you want me to be in control of this, or are you trying to control it? Like, do you want this or not? And I'm like, okay, God, you're right. Like, I do want this. I just need to be in a place where, and God's like, you just need to be what? I need to be obedient and listening to you. And he's like, good work, my child. No, but seriously, I really, I really have learned that there are a lot of things that I have to get rid of or needed to get rid of in the past. And there's still things that I will constantly work on to try to become a better person. I want to be everything God created me to be, nothing more, nothing less. I want to make sure that everything that God has for me, I get it. I want it all. I want everything. Like, you see how I enunciated every single syllable? Like, every single verb, every single consonant, everything was just enunciated. Like, I really, really just, I want it all. I want everything God has for me. And the only thing that's standing in my way, which is so funny, is me. Like, I'm the only thing that's stopping me from getting that relationship. I'm the only thing stopping me from getting the blessings. I'm the only thing that's stopping me from growing my business. And sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. And it's not that there's someone that's telling me that I can't do it, because if someone told me I can't, I really wouldn't care. I would do it anyways. It's more just like, okay, God, I'm going to do this. And then, you get like that point in your mind, like, what if no one supports me? And then it's like, listen, it doesn't matter if no one supports you if you got God's support, because regardless of who's there, you're going to be fine. God's going to make sure that he provides all of your needs, because I'm in something. I'm focusing on God. I'm seeking first the kingdom and all of his righteousness, and I am getting everything that he wants for me to have, because his plans are to prosper me and not to harm me. His plans are to make sure that he he has a room prepared in the upper room. you know, my goal is to just be focused on God and allow him to just break off those things that no longer serve me. Break off those things that are holding me back, those things that are stopping me from getting everything that God has for me. And in order for me to do that, I had to release myself. I had to get rid of everything that I was, like anything that didn't serve me in my future, anything that was holding me back, anything that made me doubt my life or doubt the promises that God gave me. Everything that is holding me back has to be released. I can't carry that with me. I can't carry it into the next season. I got too much to do. The load is too heavy to be carrying into the next season that God has for me. And that's how I feel like it is for a lot of people in life. You're holding on to something in the past, and every time you hold on to it, you're not allowing God to give you all the things that he has for you. It's like I always talk about this because it's just like the best analogy ever. But God, there's this one with Jesus is kneeling down in front of this little girl, and he has a she has a little teddy bear in her hands and she doesn't want to let it go. And God has this giant, humongous teddy bear behind him. And he says, I just need you to let it go. And she doesn't know that teddy bear is behind him. She thinks that this small teddy bear is the best thing that she could ever have in her life. But God has so much more for you. He's not he's not the God of lack, he's the God of abundance. And sometimes we're willing to settle for things that isn't God's best for us because we feel like that's the best that it could be. Sometimes we do it in relationships. We'll meet one person who seems like a nice person or something, or seems like a decent person, and we're like, oh, this person is great. Great for who? Like, great compared to what? You've been in a bunch of toxic relationships, so how can you know what God's best is for you if you're willing to just settle for the first thing? Or if you're willing to settle for something, you don't even know if that's the best that God has for you. I'm not saying that you should just like be unappreciative of someone who is a good person or anything like that. I'm just saying that you what you think is the best is nothing compared to God's best for you. God has so much more that he wants to give you in life. And you are the one standing in your own way. You can't just be like pushing people away, like me. You can't just put up walls and you can't just be invulnerable. You have to make sure that you're really willing to accept all of the things that God has for you. Because until you release those things, you won't be able to receive it. So in conclusion, I said this wasn't going to be long, but I guess it's going to be like a however long it is, because when I say in conclusion, sometimes it goes on, but I'm going to try to make this short because I do have to go. Like, I still have like 50 minutes, but I want to go do something first. And then I got to bring a change of shoes because I'm not going to wear my heels. I'm going to wear heels, but it's going to be like the booties that are real, real comfortable. It's not going to be my pointed toe over the knee boots that I had on. So it's going to be a whole vibe. And if I need to, I will, readjust this whole thing and make it another thing. Like, it's going to be a thing. And so, in conclusion, when it comes to your life, make sure that you release anything that is not benefiting you. Anything that's holding you back, anything that is making you into a worse version of yourself. You have to let it go. I know it's hard because you can't imagine what's on the other side. I know it's hard because it seems like this was the best person that God had for you. I know it's hard because, you just don't know how you're going to make it without this thing or whatever it is that you have in your life that you feel like is God's best. I know it feels like I don't know what to do. If I forgive this person, then that's me giving them a pass. You're not giving them a pass. You're giving yourself the grace to be able to move on in your life, to allow all of the blessings that God has for you to be received. And you can't receive it if you have hate in your heart. You can't receive it if you have negativity, if you have spitefulness or resentment in your heart. You can only receive it if you truly forgive somebody. And I don't mean a fake forgiveness. I mean, you got to be in your soul with it. Like, I had to forgive some people who really, truly hurt me in my past. And when I forgave them, I felt like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders. Not theirs, off of my shoulders. It felt like I had been carrying around this thing with me the whole time that I never even knew existed. And when I forgave those people, it made room for God. It made room for all of the blessings that God has for me. Like things happen in my life. I don't even know how they're happening. Well, I know it's God, but things happen in my life and I'm just like, I can't even believe that God would even feel like I don't deserve it, but I can't believe that God is full with so much love and mercy and grace that he would even give me something like that, you know? And it's because I made room for it. God can't give you something if there's no space for the blessings. You have to be willing to let God give you the things that he has for you and stop blocking your blessings. Like, if God wants to give you a man, then you better be ready. Like, get prepared. Don't be sitting there like, oh, I'm just put my feet up and not do any work. You're gonna have to go see a psychologist. You're gonna have to go to a counselor, go to a life coach. You're going to have to do some work on your body because you want to take care of your body because you want to be there with the person, the kingdom spouse that God has for you. You're going to have to start eating right. You're going to have to start learning more because you don't want to be stagnant in your life and not progressing. You know, with it's the lack of knowledge. Without knowledge the people perish. So if you don't want to learn anything, then you are hindering your own growth. You have to be willing to be the best version of yourself because that's all God wants from you. He doesn't expect you to ever be perfect because only God is perfect. The person that you get is not going to be perfect. And I hope you remember that when you get them. And I hope you appreciate them as much as you pray for them. Because sometimes we'll pray for things and we get ungrateful real quick. We forget how we prayed for this moment. We prayed for this job. We prayed for this house, this car. We prayed for the significant other, whatever else it is. But how quickly do we forget the prayers that we ask God for, the things that we ask God for, and then we become unappreciative. So always be thankful and grateful for everything that you have in your life because not everybody has it and you pray for it. You have to know who God is and who you are. And knowing God, that's what allows me to know who I am. I don't have to ask for someone else's permission to be who I am. I don't have to try to check with somebody else to make sure that I am who God said I am. I don't have to prove that I'm something that I'm not because I'm everything God created me to be. I have security because I have God. God is my security because he keeps all of his promises. It's not like a person who's going to lie to you, or something like that unintentionally or intentionally. God is a God that he cannot lie, and that gives me all of the security that I need. So when you're living your life, release those things that aren't serving you. You have to let it go. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. It was so hard for me to let go of some things in my life. But I promise you, you will be better off without it. You'll be better off without hate, without greed, without resentment, without toxicity, without any negative characteristic trait or anything that's been holding or hindering your growth. And when you receive the blessing, it'll be so worth it.